Man, so I wonder who the hell the king is gonna marry next. Man, it really sucks that Disney World doesn't exist back then, because I had a good idea where you guys could go for your honeymoon.
Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of your Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for House of the Dragon. This is my review for Season 1, Episode 2, titled The Rogue Prince.
Alright guys, this one's going to be doing another video today. This one's going to be doing another video for House of the Dragon. This one is my review for Season 1, Episode 2, titled The Rogue Prince. So, second episode now of House of the Dragon, second review for House of the Dragon. If you have not seen the first episode review, you can make sure to go ahead and check that out on the channel. This review, I'll make sure to let you guys know, will contain spoilers for the episode, so if you have not watched the episode yet, make sure to go ahead and watch it before you watch this review. So, that being said, let's get into the second episode now. So, I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, I don't know if I liked it as much as the pilot. The pilot was really gripping, but this was a really, really spectacular episode. And it really is lining everything up, I feel, to, set up for what is going to come for this show. That's one thing I really took out of this episode, is that we're really setting up the conflict within our group, within the story right now, before we actually see all this stuff kind of unravel, if you will. So this episode was focused, I would say, primarily on the king and also Rhaenyra. Those were our two major, points of view for this episode. And so far for this series, they seem to be our main points of view. We do have Daemon, who is in this episode briefly, but I would say for the most part, there are main, two characters, right? So he ends up in this episode. This episode takes place 6 months after the death of his wife and his, newly born child that also died as a result, which was still a really screwed up scene last episode. So in this episode, it sounds like he is now, after, these past 6 months, he is going to have to marry somebody else. He's going to have to marry somebody. We just don't know who. And this is a pretty crazy episode for him because he ends up, this is how it used to work back in the day, but obviously he is, forced to marry somebody, even down to a point where he's meeting some of these, some of his men's, daughters and stuff, and they're, 12 years old. I'm like, holy shit, man. And there's even one that's, 12 years old, and she's just like, oh, yeah, I can lay in a bed with you in 2 years when I'm 14. I'm like, holy shit, man. I know that's how it worked back then, but it's still a crazy thing to see. She was so young. She's, so much shorter than him, and he's, this, older guy, and she's, a 12-year-old little girl. I'm like, oh, my God, man. So he's doing that. He's trying to figure out which one he's going to marry. And the crazy thing is that he is considering marrying Alicent, who is Rhaenyra's best friend, his daughter's best friend. He's considering marrying in this episode, which more on that later. That was a pretty screwed up idea as well, too. But we also get, I would say, the major plot in this one, which is Rhaenyra. We have a few scenes with her where she kind of is grieving over the death of her mother, which obviously makes a lot of sense. We also find out that she hasn't really been talking to her dad about this all that much. They've kind of been just kind of ignoring that subject and kind of just, pushing that subject away. But it is definitely eating her up inside, you can tell. And we get Daemon in this one, who starts acting up. He is at Dragonstone, which I must add, I love seeing Dragonstone. We got to see Dragonstone again in this episode, and it was really, really cool. A lot of nostalgia trips for Game of Thrones, right? So he's at Dragonstone right now. And some of the king's men go to confront him, and the guy that is going to go confront him is also the father of Alicent, who he's considering to marry. So this guy obviously is trying to earn the king's respect. So he's like, no, king, you stay. I'll go handle him, And he goes there. They end up kind of disagreeing, and they pull their swords, obviously. They end up, about to just fight. And all of a sudden, you see in the distance, and I already knew what was going to happen as soon as they pulled their swords. Rhaenyra comes in on a dragon, very Daenerys style, and confronts Daemon, her uncle, right? So she ends up talking to him, and I loved it too, because she straight up looks at him. She says, look, I am, the one that's on the Iron Throne. If you want the Iron Throne so bad, you're going to have to kill me. That's just the way it's going to go. So he doesn't kill her, but obviously they kind of have a standoff, which is really cool. And, she ends up taking a dragon egg that he has, and that's basically how it goes. So obviously the first episode set it up very well. And if anything, this episode establishes it even more. Daemon is definitely going to be a threat in this show. He's definitely going to be a problem. This episode, if anything, just fully sealed the deal for me as a viewer that Daemon is definitely going to be a problem for King's Landing. He's going to be a problem for his brother, who is also king, and he's going to be a problem for Rhaenyra as well, too, I would say. So, you know, definitely interested to see where that plot goes. I thought it was really, really cool. And we do get at the end of the episode, which I thought was pretty interesting, the king decides that he's going to marry, and this was screwed up, he's going to marry Alicent, who is Rhaenyra's best friend. So she is now going to be almost, if you will, a mother figure to her, and that's the decision that the king has made. But one of his men is very upset, and I apologize. I do not know this guy's name, guys. I really do apologize. I'm still learning the name, so bear with me here. But he ends up going to Daemon at the end of the episode, and it appears like they're going to almost work together by the end of it. So that was pretty crazy as well, too. So this was a dope episode. This was a dope episode, and I thought that this was a really fantastic kind of setup episode for what is going to be coming up next. Now, in terms of what I can say, you know, as for this episode, in terms of a rating, I'm going to give it a 10. I had no issues with this episode. What would I downgrade this episode lower than a 10 for if there was no issues with the episode? So, honestly, this was great. This was a fantastic episode. That's 2 episodes down that were absolutely awesome. And, I am quite looking forward to the next few episodes. We got 8 episodes left this season. Fact check me on that if I'm wrong. But I believe we have 8 episodes left of this series, and I think it's going to be awesome. Honestly, I can't wait to see more. Very excited for episode 3, and this episode was great. Now, one last thing I will mention before closing this review is, yes, the intro, guys. We actually did get a full-blown intro for House of the Dragon, and it's exactly like Game of Thrones, but different, which is good. You know, I'm glad it's unique as well, too. But I loved it. You've got, like, the blood that, like, spills through the intro as we follow this, like, trail of blood. Oh my god. I mean, does that ever speak volumes of what we're probably going to end up seeing for this show going forward? So, love the new intro. That was a fantastic addition as well, too. And anyway, let me know in the comment section below, how did you feel about episode 2, A House of the Dragon? I thought it was fantastic. Very excited to hear what you guys thought. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos for House of the Dragon and weekly reviews every Monday for House of the Dragon. Make sure to also follow me on Dan's The Walking Dead reviews on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for another video for House of the Dragon. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.